Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here with another Q&A session, just a quick one maybe to see what questions are out there about the Little School of Big Change and to address some that I've been sent. So today is the day. It's open and it's really exciting. I'm so grateful and so excited to just see so many people coming in and sending some early feedback and diving into things. So it's this is always a really fun time for me just to see your names pop through and see who's joining, and it's really awesome, really cool. So a couple questions that I've been sent, and again, kind of like Wednesday, I'm going to post some links in the comments. One is going to be to the webinar that I did a week ago today. If you haven't had a chance to see that, it's definitely the most in-depth, helpful, I hope, informative look into what this is all about, into the understanding that's shared in the school and kind of what I share and teach and point you toward that helps so many people find freedom from habits and addictions and anxiety and whatever they're struggling with. So I go into a lot of depth in that webinar about this understanding, like what is it really? What is it that helps? What is it that leads to freedom and change? And then I also take you on a tour of the school. So toward the end of that webinar, you can see how things look inside and what it's like to be a member there and where you go and what you do. And it's really, really fun and really kind of cool to see that. Hi, Susan, seeing just some people join. So I'm going to put that in the comments, a link to that on YouTube. And if you haven't had a chance to see that, if you're on the fence, if you're kind of confused about what all this is, or you're just not sure how it works, that's the place to go. That will be by far the best sort of resource for seeing more about all aspects of this. And again, I'm going to address some questions that I've been sent. But if you're joining live or watching, if you have a question, any questions about anything, hi, Anne-Marie, go ahead and post them in the comments, and I'll try to address those as we're here also. So that webinar will be the best thing to watch. But really, if you're familiar with anything I do, the Ask Amy's or any of my work or my books or anything, it's all about looking in this deeper place that isn't personal. And that's just something that's on my mind a lot today, how impersonal it is, how when we get a deeper sense, a deeper familiarity and knowing about how we work, what's true of all people and what we have going for us, like where to look when we're confused, when we're stuck, when we're caught up in a habit, where do we look for answers? I'm in the middle of an article that I've been writing for about a week and a half, or kind of taking some notes around for about a week and a half, called Looking for Change in All the Wrong Places, based on an old song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And it's funny because I've been working on this for a little while, and just last weekend I was in a group, and one person asked the question, like he said, this reminds me, what we're talking about here reminds me of that old song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, and we are, and that is exactly what this is. So looking for change in all the wrong places, is this way in which we just naturally orient ourselves toward what we're doing, what we're feeling, the output of our experience, and then we try to solve it from there. We jump in there and we try to change it and fix it, and we end up kind of messing things up a little bit innocently for ourselves because we're looking for change in the wrong places, and they're the logical places. That's the trouble in this, in a sense. It's us looking where we know to look, but when we see that there's a deeper place to look, things make sense. So when all you know to do is look at your behavior or your feelings or just what's going on, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, of course you're going to try to solve for that. Of course you are. It's like being given just a part of an equation with a big X and you need to solve for X. Like, of course you're going to try to solve based on what you see. But what we start to look toward in this understanding that I share in the school is this whole other side of life, which is funny once you're familiar with it, that it's this whole other side, because it's like, it's the real juice of it. Like, it is life. It's what powers everything. It's what's behind the scenes in everything. And we start to see how this works, this dance between this sort of spiritual, formless realm of life that brings everything up for us, that brings us thought, that brings us feeling, that fuels our behavior. And then we see the physical part that we're all used to looking at, you know, the thoughts, the feelings, the behaviors, but we see it in this bigger way. And something about getting a fuller picture, a big grasp of how this really works, it points us in a different direction. So we're no longer looking for change in all the wrong places and then beating ourselves up and wondering why we haven't changed yet. Why hasn't my habit gone away? You know, why do I still feel this way? You get reoriented and you start to know where to look. And we want to look before all that. We want to look at how we operate, and not how you operate, but how every human operates. Like just how we're walked through life. Like what's true of every single one of us, no matter what. That's an interesting question. And that's a question with a lot of juice. I just had a client call and I told him, like, I don't know, juice is apparently my word today. I'm just using juice all over the place. So that's a place to look where there's a lot of juice. Like, oh, what do I and you and the heroin addict and the compulsive shopper and the person who we all are jealous of, who looks like they have everything in life together, who's just floating through life, what do we all have exactly in common? Like, what do we have going for us? What's before all this stuff we see and we're trying to fix and change? And that's where we look. That's where this understanding of the school points us. And that's where huge shift happens. And I get that in the beginning that can sound a little vague, but it isn't. Once you start to get a feel for this, it's like, oh, now I know. Get quiet. It's not in all this that I'm going to solve my problems. It's beneath that. And that, again, can sound very simple. And it is very simple, but it's something you come to know deeply. And it's just this process of starting to look in a different place and seeing, when you do that, seeing really, really different results than what we're used to seeing by hard work and effort and willpower and discipline and all the stuff we do to try to make change happen. So the song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, has been on my mind, been running through my head, unfortunately, for better or worse, since Saturday, since my colleague brought it up in this meeting, and it just was really funny and felt very, very meant to be, because I had been writing this article also. And so anyway, just on my mind. So some of the questions I want to address that have been coming in, and again, if you have them, if you're just now joining, go ahead and post them in the school. Some of the bigger questions are, like, one question I get a lot about the content, and again, the webinar will help, and I'll post a link to that, but about the content and what's there and how it's all set up, is a lot of people email me and say, you know, I watch all your videos already. Like, you put out, and I put out a lot of stuff. So every Thursday I write a new article or share something new. I do a ton of interviews and I share those. I do Ask Amy's. I create a lot of videos and put them on YouTube. So people are understandably asking, like, how is this different? You know, I can get you for free all the time, more than I want probably. Why should I join this school? Like, what's different about it? So the first thing that, you know, just in terms of the content that's there, it absolutely goes far beyond a random YouTube video that I might put out, in that it's designed to hold your hand virtually and walk you through an understanding. I created this school thinking about, you know how they say, you know, if you write or you put out stuff, like, think about who you're speaking to. You know, it helps to have a person in mind, or like a favorite client or a person you know, and kind of feel like you're speaking to them in a sense. I created this school thinking about that person who is feeling really stuck. They're smart, they are resourceful, they've done a ton of stuff, they are the opposite of lazy. They are willing to try anything. They are hardworking. They have tried everything or almost everything, you know, and they're just like, what the hell? Like, what am I missing? Because, you know, the reason I speak to that person is that was me for a really long time. Like, how can I be so successful in all these other areas of life? Like, how can I know so much and have so much information and so much content and know where to look, yet I am feeling so completely powerless and stuck in this area? over something that I know better than to do, you know, over something, I don't want to say it's dumb because they feel huge to us, but that's what I used to say in my own head, you know, like, this is so dumb. Like, why am I doing this? I know better. I don't like it. You know, all the therapy exercises of finding something to do instead, and all the deeper therapy exercises of, you know, how much better will your life be when this isn't in your life, and what are all the good reasons to stop, and even the little exercises of, you know, why are you still, like, what's the payoff in continuing to do this? You've done them. I've done them. Like, over it, right? Like, we've been there, done that. Doesn't really get to the deeper thing here that we're all pointing to, that we're all looking for and missing. So when I created this school and all the content in it, I was thinking about that person, and it takes that person by the hand and walks them progressively through an understanding of, here's where you are. I know, I've been there. Here's how you're thinking about it. I know, I hear it every single day, all day long from people. Here's who you think you are, all of this thought and feeling, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm my behaviors, and I'm my worry, and all of this. Here's who you think you are, and here's who you really are. And it starts to just peel all of that back. And again, it is created in a way that progresses you through. You have to go in order. You do it at your own pace, but you are walked through an understanding of who you are. And it's really deep, and it's really impactful for people. And you go through it as many times as you want. There's a reason. It's another question people ask, how long will I have access to this? You'll have access to it for as long as you want it. I don't want to take it away. There's no reason. We've gone to great lengths in terms of the technology to make it so that we don't have to take it away, that we have the bandwidth, that thousands of people can join this school and have access to this stuff for the rest of their lives, because I don't know when you're going to need it. And I don't know what's going to be most helpful. There's not one path that's most helpful for everyone. You go through, you soak it in, you come into the community, you talk about it there, you explore it there, you go back, you soak it in more. You know, it's like, that's life. It's this back and forth and in and out and looking and then taking a break. And there's such a natural kind of motion to that, that I just wanted to make available, because I think that's what helps people. So very different from YouTube videos. Even if you, and I don't recommend doing this, but even if you had me on repeat and you listen to everything I've ever created over and over and over, this is different, because it is meant to be a progression that meets you where you are, which, you know, I might not know you, but I have a good sense of where you are because I was there, and I talk with thousands of people all the time who are there. So meets you in what you're likely thinking and where you're likely stuck, and walks you into clarity. And yeah, and it's awesome in that way. So that is how it's different. And the community piece of the school is the best part. The content's wonderful. You can get the content and join the community later. But the thing about this community, there's a lot of things about this community, but you know, it's an opportunity to get personal support through what you're going through. So let me give you an example. It just happened about a half hour ago. Someone joined the school at the master level, and what that means is they get all of the content and they have it for life, but there's no interaction there. It's just a ton of really great content. So she was going to kind of sit with that content, take it in, whatever. But already, before she even started, she had some questions. How's the best way to go through it? I'm in this program. What about that? What do you think about this? You know, and it's like, for $39 a month, you get me, you get Amanda, who's an amazing coach, like sharer of this as well. We're there pointing you. I mean, it's what we do, is pointing you in a direction. And I could already see in this woman's emails. Again, I've done this with a lot of people, so I can kind of pretty good at honing in on, okay, here's where they're really kind of caught up, you know. So I could see in her emails alone, okay, here's where her mind's just kind of spinning on how is this going to go. And, you know, there's a lot I could see just from a couple emails, but I don't have time to answer all these emails. So that's why we created the school. So it's this opportunity for you to have your blind spots illuminated for you personally. Now, the content alone goes a very long way in that, but the ability to just know that you have this community and you have me and you have have other people that have seen a lot about this there to point you in a direction over and over and over again, as many times as it takes, as long as it takes. That's pretty awesome. Like there's a lot in that. We have these group calls. We have, starting next month, we have 3 every month, and we're always adding more and doing bonus calls as we grow and as we need them. 3 opportunities at least every month to have questions answered, to get coaching, to say, hey, I'm just not getting this piece, or what am I missing here? Or my change still feels hard, or it's not happening fast enough. What am I not seeing? And to be pointed in the right direction, that's a pretty incredible resource. And on our forum, we're there all the time, quickly, just supporting you in any way you might need support, adding new stuff, and just keeping this conversation going at a different level. So that's kind of the benefit of the community, and that's what that's kind of like the logistical benefit of the community. There's something else about just seeing other people going through this and going through having these insights alongside other people that is incredible. We actually have a live event coming up June 1st through 3rd in Michigan, and a lot of you that are here are going to be at that event. A lot of people in the school are going to be at that event. Other people who aren't in the school, who are just around this understanding, will be there. And that's just a similar thing. It just reminds me, talking about watching other people. I just got done doing it this weekend with my group, of people that I'm just a part of this group, not the leader of. Being around people who are all looking in the same direction. And we talked there about how we all have this light, and we're just kind of looking toward this light, and it's full of health and wellness and everything we want, clarity and peace of mind. Everything we're looking for is this little light. And we all, me and my group that gather, we've gathered 3 times now, when we come together, we have this feeling of being like a lighthouse. We're no longer just all these 10 little individual lights. Like, we come together, and there's something that comes of that. And I've seen that happen over time in my work in this, over and over and over. And truthfully, much more so than the logistical pieces and the piece of this school that's scalable, that allows me to reach a lot of people. Like, that lights me up. Sorry to take the metaphor a little too far, but like, that's what lights me up, is not that this is an opportunity to reach a lot more people and charge you a lot less. That's great too. But that I know when we start coming together and looking together in a direction, it raises things exponentially. I mean, it is, everyone, I spoke to this Wednesday on the Facebook Live, everyone thinks they need that private conversation. Not everyone, but I get a lot of people say, no, I need you privately. I need this private coaching, these private conversations. What we're missing is the fact that, innocently, is the fact that we're all the same, and coming together and looking at that with other people, with the vulnerability and the honesty and the humility that, those feel like big things in the beginning. But when we see, oh my gosh, this person's exactly like me, their thinking just tells them a different story that they believe. Me too. My thinking tells me all kinds of stories that I at times believe. We're all the same, coming together, looking in a direction. It's more powerful in so many ways than just having a private little conversation. It truly is. And what this community does is give you the best of both worlds, because I go around the call, we're on the forum constantly, giving you your personal support that you need based on you and how you're seeing things. And then you back up a minute and you see 30, 40, 50 other people doing the exact same stuff, seeing the same things in their own way. And it just rises the tide for all of us. It's better for all of us. So that's a cool, that's another great thing about our community, and just what makes this such a special place. So much different than watching things on your own and doing things, in isolation, which is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. If that's all you can do at the moment, or that's all you feel comfortable doing at the moment, do that. That's great. There's a ton of free content out there from myself and from lots of other amazing teachers. So soak that in. But if you're ready for more, this is a perfect place to be. So Anne Marie's asking, is the Little Book of Big Change referenced in the school? Yes and no, like not directly. I mean, I have a course that walks you through the chapters, goes through every chapter in the Little Book of Big Change and kind of expands that. And that's great. It follows the book exactly and does that. That's kind of the point of that. But this is bigger than that. So it's the exact same understanding, but in my opinion, I wrote the book, I don't know, 3 years ago now. I see things differently now. I see things more clearly even than what's in that book. And so this school is the best of the best. It's the most recent. It's the furthest down the line. And it goes broader than the book, I think. Again, it's not what's out there so much as what we hear. So I know people have read that book and reading the book to try to get over some specific thing and have had their minds blown, which is what I want. That's the point. And they've seen, oh my gosh, this like changes how I think of everything in life. And that's wonderful. But I think that happens even more so in the school, because the book was meant to be a book about breaking habits without willpower. And the school is meant to create change and freedom and openness in any area of life. So I think and I hope, and all the feedback has shown me so far, that is the case, that the school's even broader. So it might reference the book a little, and it's definitely the same, coming from the same place, but I think in a deeper and bigger way. So go ahead, if you have questions, keep putting them in the comments there, and I'm just going to look and see what else I was sent that I want to speak to. So I mentioned who I had in mind as I created this, and some of the questions coming in are people who maybe have some familiarity with this understanding, with the three principles, or with non-dualism or Buddhism or whatever you people study. I don't know, like I just kind of take it all in. I love the three principles is sort of my thing. I love the language there. I love the people there, and that's been huge for me. But what we point to in the school absolutely comes from that. And there's so much in that, and in all of these things I just mentioned, and in all ancient wisdom, that kind of comes together and speaks to the same thing in different ways, but really looking in the same direction. So anyway, people have asked, if I'm already, like I study the three principles, I've been through Super Coach, I do this or that, or I work with people, that do all this, is this the place for me? And it is, and there's a lot of you in here, and I do want to say that, like I said, it is designed specific to change. So the conversation, the truths we share, we're not just saying, hey, we think a lot of stuff and we bring our thoughts to life. Like we're saying that, but in my examples, in my framing of things, it's tying it back to how we can find freedom from what we're stuck in. And I talk about habits and addictions in a very, very broad way. And many of you know that, and that anxiety is in that bucket. I talk about moods as a habit. We fall into these habitual moods and we start to harden around them and take them seriously. But it's a habit. It's a thought-feeling habit, like so many other things. So the change that we speak to is broad. And at the same time, I mean, if you're just looking for sort of like theory or deeper understanding, like this is targeted toward you finding freedom and change in some area. So I don't know if that answers that question, but I will say there are a lot of people just in the three principles community and other understandings, a lot of coaches who say, I want something else to like just improve what I do, just to make me more effective in what I do or in how I see things. And they find a ton of value in the school. They don't necessarily have a specific habit they're trying to break, but they get so much out of it. So it's definitely wide enough to embrace everyone in that regard. Let's see, what else? So a couple things I just wanted to mention about how to get the most out of it. So there, people have logistical kind of questions about how should I watch it? It is all self-paced. Again, I want to keep referring you to the end of last week's webinar, which I'll link here because I go in depth there a little bit more. But It is self-paced, so instantly when you enroll in school, you get access to everything that's there. But we do make you go in order because, like I said, there's a rhyme and reason to it. It's all been tested and put in specific orders to have the biggest impact on you. So you have to go in order. The program won't let you skip around, but you do it at your own pace. And people ask a lot, you know, like, should I binge watch it? Should I watch it for an hour every morning? How long should it take? There is absolutely no answer. The answer I always give is like, whatever's going to let you do it. If the thought of watching it all over 3 days freaks you out and you won't do it, please don't do that. There's no reason for that. And if the thought of stretching it out and just watching a little bit, you know, if that doesn't work for you either, just do what makes sense to you. It's really, and that's what this understanding points us toward as well, is that it's really simpler than it looks. The school and life and all kinds of things are simpler than they look. So just follow your own gut. There's not a right or wrong way. Again, if you're in our community, you can reach out anytime and say, hey, this is what I'm coming up against, or what do you think about this? And we're there answering your questions constantly and quickly. So, so just do what makes sense to you. But and I think this was a question I had Wednesday on last Wednesday's webinar or Facebook Live also, is, you know, does it, I already mentioned that you get access to this for life, but people saying like, you know, I can't do it now, but I really want to join because I know you're not going to open the doors for another 6 or 7 months, which is true. So join now if you're so inclined, even if you know that you can't get to it right away, and then you just do it as it makes sense to do. Again, there's no expiration date, there's no rush, there's no pressure. It's really designed to simply hold your hand and walk you through, and you can do that whenever that makes sense for you. And most people, almost everyone I know, has been through it more than once, you know, at least their favorite little lessons or things that resonate. You go through the whole curriculum and then you go back. Once you've been through it all, you can skip around and do what you want to do. So then you go back and you look at more. And Dorothy's here saying that she binge watched it and then went back, like I'm saying, to different sections and electives. And that worked for her. So that's perfect. It's, you know, it's whatever works for you. Let's see. There is a video in the Doctorate Lounge, and this was one of the bonuses that if you join at the doctorate level, if you were on the wait list, or even if you aren't, I believe, there are some bonuses for joining today, but it's only until the end of today. There's a video I created thinking about, like, what can I give people that will help them get the most out of this? And it's all about that, how to be in this school and be in this community in terms of what you do, but just in terms of, like, you know, how to take it all in, not logistically how to take it all in, but kind of how to sit with it, where to kind of let your mind be as you're in this to get the most out of it. And some of the things in there, you know, I think the most important things, like we just touched on, doing it in a way that works for you, but knowing that when we come to anything, especially something new, and especially when we want change, when we are looking for something, that is like an invitation for this little computer in your head to be at the party, to be like, how's it going? Where's my change? How come these people are having these insights and I haven't had that insight yet? You know, how long is this taking? How long is this going to take? How many people are here? What time is it? You know, like all of that is going to be on your mind because you're doing something new and you're looking in a new direction. And especially as you really look in this new direction and I start telling you things that maybe kind of blow your whole idea of who you are and what life is about out of water. little teaser there. That happens, especially then when your mind is wanting to explode and saying, this isn't what I believe about life, or wow, that's totally different than everything I've ever been taught. Little mind is going to jump in and want to have a big part in that, you know, want to steer you in the right direction and ask a million questions. So there's so much in allowing ourselves to just be quiet and be open and soak something up. This is what children do naturally, and it's why they learn so darn well and so quickly, is they're not in their head saying, well, my feet want to walk this way, but this book told me to walk this way. Like, they just let it come through them, and they learn, and they are sponges, and they soak stuff up because they're not arguing with it. and they're not doubting it and questioning it all the time. And if what you soak up here doesn't deeply resonate with you, not if your mind's not happy with it, because your mind will be happy and then it won't, then it will, then it won't. I don't care about that. But if it doesn't deeply resonate with you and lead to deep inside out change, fine. Then it's not the thing. But that doesn't happen very often. When people give it a chance and really open and let this come into them and really just soak it up, they see things in it, really. Like, by definition almost, as a rule almost. I mean, there are things people see and change that happens. And so I really just by way of like the questions of how can I get the most out of it and that kind of stuff, you know, getting quiet, knowing that you can't make your mind quiet, your mind's not going to be quiet, but that you don't need to listen to that, you know, that all the doubts about the other things you've tried and how is this different and all that kind of stuff, you know, just if something's drawing you into this and you're curious, and especially if you're in the school already and you're listening to the stuff, give it a fair shot by just not worrying about what your mind is saying or thinking about it. And comparing how you're doing with either some made-up idea about how you think you should be doing or how someone else looks to be doing, because none of that serves anyone. There was a question up, and I'm sorry, I think it was Susan, asked about a payment plan. There is, I can help you with a payment plan if you're joining at the master level, which is $299. That level or higher, I can help you with that. It's not something we put out because we just don't get a lot of requests for it because we tried to keep this really low to begin with. But if that's helpful to you, absolutely reach out to me, email me, and we can set that up. So again, people who are just joining a little late, if you have questions, I have a few more that have been sent, but if you have questions about the school, about anything about the school, this understanding, how it helps people, put them in the comments. Let's see what else. A lot of questions. Again, the big theme this time for this Facebook Live anyway, so in the last like 4 days, has been about how this is different from the other stuff that's out there. So my other stuff that's out there. So I spoke to that already. But still questions, of course, about kind of like, when will it open again? And what will the price be? And I just don't know. You know, it's definitely not going to open again before September. Even that would probably be on the early side. And again, I know I've said this a million times, but the reason for that is to your benefit and to my benefit. I do a lot. You've probably seen me a lot in the past 2 weeks, maybe more than you want to, way more than you typically do, because, you know, this is that time when I'm out talking about this and sharing it and trying to get people in, and I don't want to live my life like this constantly. What I love doing, what I love more than anything, is getting up in the morning, checking the forum, having conversations, pointing people in the right direction on the forum who need support or are feeling stuck, thinking of things I can add to bring you guys value in the school, and having those calls. I mean, those calls, those group calls that if you're in our community, we have 3 a month. It's my favorite thing to do, really. Like, be on there with a group of people who all have different insights and thoughts and places where they're stuck, and just go around and deep dive as much as you can in a 90-minute or 2-hour call, and just see somebody like start to have a shift. And see, again, the huge thing is the group aspect of this, see the other 20, 30, 40 people on the call have a shift with them because they've just seen things in a new way. You know, like this little block, which is only a thought. It's all a block ever is a thought that looks real. Helping someone actually see that in a moment. Oh, this felt real a second ago, but now I see that that's just thinking and it moves. And, you know, just seeing that happen in real time, like that's my thing. So that's what I want to do rather than talking about the school in this sort of way. I like doing this too. This isn't like torture for me, but I want to open it, get people in, shut the door, and focus on who's in there. So it will be at least September. I would guess maybe October, November. I would also guess that the price might not be the same, but I don't want to say anything about that beyond that because I just don't know yet. So what else? If you have questions, if you're here, any other questions you have about kind of tactical, logistical things, bigger questions, feel free to put them here. That I kind of clumped a lot of the questions that I was sent together and I think spoke to them for the most part. So I think we're good. But if you have questions that come up after this, please put them in the comments. I'll be checking this and I'll address your questions on Facebook. And there is going to be another Facebook Live on Wednesday, also at 1 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock UK time. So this same time when this one started, 2 days from now. And the enrollment period closes on Thursday. So please know that, remember that. It did just open today. And yes, it is going to close Thursday at midnight Eastern time. And that's going to be it for a while. So keep that in mind. You know, it's a short, I know it's a little different than how most people enroll in a course or do things like this. So sometimes it's a little hard to get used to, but it's 4 days, we go all out, we get you all in, and then I just start supporting you. So make sure if you're interested at all, you join before Thursday. If you have questions at all, I'm on my email a lot these days. So I'm quick to respond and I'll get you your questions and help you in any way I can. And again, it's so awesome to just see so many new people coming through the doors, starting to get a feel for like relief. And that's the biggest thing that we hear, you know, I all the time. That actually was a question I had, like, what's the percentage of people that find help or whatever? I forget exactly how their question was, but there's a survey. I don't want to taint it for the new people that are just coming in, but when you join in the first 24 hours or so, I ask you like a few simple little questions, like, how hopeful do you feel about change? Like, at this point in time, right now, today, how stuck do you feel? How much does I don't remember the exact wording, but along the lines of like, how much does your habit or addiction or anxiety or issue feel like a part of you that can't change? And it's on a 5-point scale, and I can look at the data. And then later, once people have been through all the content, when they've kind of forgotten about that first survey, at some point quite a bit later, I ask them those same questions again. So I can kind of compare the results there. And those questions about how hopeful do you feel, how much does this feel like a part of you, how stuck do you feel, on a 5-point scale, the average on those questions is always around like a 4.5, maybe 4.3 to 4.6-ish, with 5 being hopeless, stuck, yes, this is part of me. So, I mean, people are coming in just like, I have a little hope because I'm here, which again, if you're looking and listening and even curious about this, you have hope. There is hope, and that is so huge because it's what gets you in the door. It's what opens you up and gets you to just stay curious about one more thing, you know, one more different direction. So they show up with enough hope to show up, but, you know, they're feeling like this is just part of me and I've tried everything, like I said, and there's not a lot. I don't have a lot of faith. And by the end, when we go back, those 4.5, 6, 7 scores, they're down in the 2 something. So now people are way more hopeful than they were. And again, this is for some people, for many people, probably before they've experienced a ton of change, or if they have actually seen the change show up in their lives, it's only been around for a little while because we're asking these questions fairly soon after the first set of questions. So it's just that they've been exposed to this understanding and they've seen, oh my gosh, there is another way. There is more hope. There is more potential possibility than I ever thought possible. So suddenly we're down in the twos, between the 1.5 and 2.5 kind of range, on how much does this habit or problem feel like part of you. It doesn't anymore. You know, it like huge shifts on that survey. I really need to do something with those results. There's a reason I used to design surveys and have that kind of scientific career, actually. So that's sort of on my mind. So there's amazing data there, though, and I'm just kind of giving you the overview of it. But just to see how things shift in that way is awesome. So I love, just since this morning, people coming into the school saying, wow, already I can see that there's a glimmer of hope. Already I can see this is different than things I've tried before. I mean, it's the best thing in the world. And I know that once people start to see that, it's like there's a crack. And now that crack's just going to keep widening. The more they see and the more they show up and take this in, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That little crack does. And suddenly this problem kind of falls open and they see a new way. So it's awesome to see. And I would love, love, love to have you all there. So please keep in mind, doors are going to close Thursday. I'm going to be traveling all day. I'm actually going to be at, I don't even know where I'll be. I'm going to be in another country on Friday. So I really can't get to your emails that I always get Friday morning that say, crap, I missed it. Can you let me in? Like, I don't know if that's going to happen this time around. So really, if you're curious, ask your questions. Show up Wednesday at the Facebook Live. Ask your questions there. Email me. And just take an open-minded look. And if it resonates, I'd love to have you. So thanks so much, guys, for being here, for your nice comments and your questions. And yeah, I really hope to see you in the school soon.